What if I told you that behind the old doors of Frank Fritz's garage, there were secrets no one expected to see? Not treasure, not gold, but something that made even longtime fans say, "Wait, what?" Frank Fritz, the man we have watched for years on American Pickers, has always had an eye for rare and unusual things. But what has been sitting in his garage all this time? Well, when people finally got a peek inside, let us just say, they were stunned. Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you will see why his garage is more than just a place for storage. It is like a hidden museum that tells his story in a way no show ever could. Before we open that garage door, let us take a quick look at the man behind it. Frank Fritz became famous through the History Channel show American Pickers. He and his friend Mike Wolf traveled across the country looking for valuable old items, anything from antique toys to rusty motorcycles. People loved Frank because he was real. He did not pretend. He laughed, he joked, and he truly knew his stuff. But after some time, Frank left the show, and many fans were left wondering what happened to him. He faced some tough times, health problems, a breakup, and being away from the spotlight. But while all that was happening, his garage was quietly holding on to pieces of his past and maybe some surprises no one was ready for. So, what did people see when that garage was finally opened? At first, it looked like a regular collector's space, full of old signs, shelves, and dusty boxes. But the closer they looked, the more they found, and some of it was truly unexpected. In the corner, covered by a tarp, was an old Harley-Davidson, one of Frank's favorite brands. It was not just any bike. It was a rare model from the 1940s, with hand-painted parts and details that showed it had been loved and cared for. There were gas station signs from the 1920s, metal lunchboxes from the 1950s, and even a collection of antique soda bottles lined up like trophies. But the real surprise was not just what Frank had, it was why he kept these things. Each item had a memory. A reason. A story. One box, sitting on a top shelf, was filled with photographs. Some were of Frank on the road during his picking days. Others showed him as a young boy, standing next to his first bike. Tucked inside one of the albums was a letter from his father. Handwritten. A message of support when Frank was just starting out on American Pickers. It showed a side of him we rarely got to see on television. There were also small tools, old wrenches, and a few things that did not seem valuable at first. But those who knew Frank said they were from his early years of collecting, back when he was still learning, still building his dream. Now here is the part that really shocked everyone. Behind a stack of crates, there was a small wooden box, locked with an old metal latch. After some careful effort, it was finally opened, and inside were dozens of tiny figurines. Each one had a tag. A note. A memory. These were not just toys. They were part of a set Frank had started collecting when he was only 12 years old. Soldiers, cowboys, animals, each hand-painted, each telling a story of his childhood. Nobody expected that. It was not something shown on the show. It was something just for him. And that is when people realized this garage was not just full of stuff, it was a reflection of Frank's life. Sometimes, people think collecting is about money or showing off. But for Frank, it was never about that. The garage showed us that he kept things that mattered. Things that reminded him of good times, tough times, and everything in between. Old gas pumps, oil cans, and jukebox parts might not seem special to some, but to Frank, they were pieces of a bigger puzzle. This place was like a memory book, one that did not need words. Just the sound of an old bike engine, or the feel of rusted metal, or the sight of a bent sign from a place he once visited. So, what did they find in Frank Fritz's garage? They found a story. Not just about picking antiques, but about holding on to what is important. About remembering where you came from. And about never letting go of the things that shaped you. It left people speechless, not because it was fancy or expensive, but because it was real. Maybe we all have a little bit of Frank in us, saving those old toys, letters, or photos, just waiting for someone to find them and understand why they matter. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this look into Frank's world, let us know in the comments what item from your past you would never throw away. And remember, sometimes, the best stories are hiding right in your garage.